Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Well, this is going to be our new project. It's a Revell kit, 1/25 scale. Again, it's a 69 Chevy Camaro. Looks like the Fast and the Furious kit. We're going to start with the basic kit again. We're going to leave this one fairly stock. We're going to do a few mods to it. We're going to change the wheels up a little bit. We're going to dress the motor up, of course. And for the most part, the rest of it's going to be pretty much stock, other than wheels and dressing the motor up. We'll get the box out of the way, and we'll run through some plans with it. Hang on one sec. Get this baby propped up so it doesn't look like it's a four-wheel drive Camaro. Hang on. Come on, baby, you can do it. There we go. Alright, first off, wheels. Well, the kit comes with some basic 5-spoke rims. But we're going to modify them a little bit. We're going to take the stock rims that came with this kit, and we're going to add some of the machined aluminum wheel rings that I make and sell on the website at, of course, officesprue.com. And I've kind of mocked up what I'm going to do with tires and wheels on this thing. So we're going to take these stock wheels and we're going to make them more of a deep dish look and put some fatter tires on the back side of it. So I've kind of got these mocked up. I've got them, the wheel rings and the mags taped together now in the tires. We're going to run a fatter tire on the rear. I've got tons of tires and mag wheels in my collection over the years, and this is primarily why I decided I was going to make some machined aluminum rings to take hubcaps or standard stock wheels and give them that deep dish look. So that's what we're going to do with this. I still have to crazy glue or epoxy the wheel rings to the mags yet, but we're still just going through mock-up stages and getting to figure out how everything's going to fit together. So I think that deep dish look's going to look good with this car, and that's the kind of look that I'm going for. So we're going to use the stock tires in the front and a couple of wider tires on the rear. Now, we're going to need to do a little bit of tubbing. Again, not much on this car. These wheels out of the way. Hang on. Let me adjust this camera. Hold on a second. Alright. We're just going through mock-up and test fitting. So to get these wider tires under the chassis on this car, we're going to have to modify the wheel wells. And I've marked out where I need to remove some of the plastic here in the wheel well. And like the blue Camaro, the 70.5 Camaro that we did, it looks like I'm going to have to move the rear seat forward a little bit and make an extension to the rear parcel shelf to fill in that gap, because from what I'm my test fitting, it looks like the rear seat comes right up against this portion that I'm going to cut out. But anyway, we're still going through fit and plan and stages, but that's kind of the plan for the back end. We're going to have to relocate these leaf springs real tight up against the gas tank too. We may stick with the same front mount, but we'll probably have to tuck it in the rear. But we'll see when we get closer and we get actual tires under here how all that's going to work out. We're going to ditch the exhaust that came with this car, and I've got some mufflers we're going to install down just behind the subframe by the trans. Down here I run exhaust out the back. I haven't figured out how I'm going to exit them yet, but that's kind of the plan. Front end I haven't worked out, other than we're going to keep it low, and I'll use as much of the stock front end that came with it. What else have we got? Color. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do a red. And like my greens, I'm a fussy red guy. So I've got a Alclad candy red that's sprayed over their silver candy base. It may be too bright. I kind of like that color. And I think it'll look half decent on this car. But I've got some test spoons that I've base coated with some different base colors. Silvers, light grays, and even black, to see how this candy red goes and looks on top of those. So it's going to be some form of red. I haven't figured out the shade yet. We're still doing some test spoons. Motor, that's kind of where we are now. We've got motor block halves glued together. Heads are glued on, and we're going to ditch the front pulley setup on it. I've just got it tacked on there to give me an idea of how this is all going to come together, and my clearances and spacing for pulleys and things. So we're going to use some goodies on this motor. And of course what we're going to use are some of the things that I make at offthesprue.com. We've got our single pulley setup that we're going to use on it. We're not going to run dual belts on this one. This is going to be manual steering or strong arm steering. We're going to use one of our distributors on this baby, and of course it comes with a coil, two different spark plug boot colors, black or blue, and comes with a little section of material to make a coil bracket as well. We're going to use our seat belts that I make and sell on this car as well. And we're going to dress the motor up again with some oil breathers. We're going to throw a couple of those on there. And we're going to put an oil filler tube in it as well. And we're going to run some polished aluminum, or a polished aluminum oil filter that I make out of aluminum as well. So that's going to go on the motor. And finally, we're going to use one of our dual snorkel recessed dome air cleaners on the motor as well. And I haven't decided whether I'm just going to leave that polished aluminum or whether I'm going to paint that maybe black, maybe same color as the car. Haven't decided on that, but that's the air filter that we're going to run on this baby. So I think that's going to look half decent. Motor. Give me a sec. Let me get this out of the way. All right. Motor. As I mentioned, we're going to ditch these pulleys. And there's my Elmer's adhesive tack again, holding everything together. We'll pick that out in a second. So we're going to run our single belt setup on here, and I've worked out my spacing for lower. Come on, there you go. Lower pulley and water pump pulley. Come on, find the hole. Thank you. And we're going to put one of our oil filters on this baby as well. And it's going to go right down there. Like so. And fan's going to go on, of course. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the shroud that came with the car, the rad fan shroud, because I don't want to hide all my detail of my pulleys and my belt setup that we worked so hard to make and install on there. So I've got my spacing worked out for water pump and crank pulley, and I've got we're going to take the stock alternator, and I've got to make a bracket, and we're going to reverse the mounting on the alternator. We're going to get it over on the over on the driver's side because I want to run heater hoses and my lower rad hose out of the right hand side of the motor. So we're going to relocate that. We're going to relocate that alternator over on the driver's side. And I've got my little pulley that comes with a kit. It's going to go on there when we're done. Like so. A little bit of Elmer's adhesive tack, boy. I love this stuff. Oh, my oil filter fell off, you rat. Stay. So that's kind of the plan for that. Now, some guys get intimidated about trying to work out some brackets for alternator or power steering. So the simplest way to do that is to take a piece of small brass rod like so, and I forget the diameter of it. And all I've done is drilled a hole from one side of the alternator right through the other side. Oh, good thing to make yourself, guys. Another little tip is a drill index. And I just took an old piece of plastic from a scratch piece from a model, and I've got all numbered drills and index drills, and I keep them all, and each drill's in a separate bag that's marked on what size it is. And I use this drill index all the time. I've had this for, oh God, probably about 20 years now, the same one. Handy thing to have. Oh, the other thing that's handy to have is make yourself a couple of depth gauges. And what I've done is just taken some styrene rod, and just one slides inside the other, and you can either use it to measure like a micrometer, or you can use it for checks of depth of holes as well. So it's an easy little thing to make yourself a little depth gauge or a little ruler for marking. Anyway, I use those all the time. Anyway, that's out of the way. Back to this alternator. Hang on. So basically what you're going to do is, once you've drilled a hole right through both sides, is, of course, find the hole and shove that brass rod right through the whole thing. So once I've done that, what I'm going to do is bend this back towards each other, so I have basically two arms coming up the alternator from the motor. And once I figure out the length that I need, then what I'll do is I'll bend both ends that are together right angle to go into the side of the motor. And then once that's done, we'll kind of quickly do this. This is a real fast one, guys. Hang on a second. About like so. And we're going to bend this back on itself. Come on. Look in the camera. I can't do that in film. And the pulley wants to fall off, so we'll just let it fall off. So we're going to bend those back around like about so. I hope this camera focuses on this thing. And once we get that bent back on itself, we'll trim this off quickly. I'll have to make another one, but you guys will get the idea what I'm trying to do here. Oh, there we go. Shot the rod across the bench. So once I've got that done, then I can figure out where did the block go? There you are. Figure out length that I want this. Roughly about there, give or take. This is a quickie. Where's my flat nose, needle nose? Hang on a sec, guys. Shows you how prepared I am for this video. Hang on. And about like so. And we'll take that and we'll bend that right angle straight back. Like about so, a bit more. Hang on. Now once I've done that, what I'm going to do is when it gets in the motor, then I'm going to take some, I've got some glue and styrene mixed together. Good stuff for filler and filling seam lines sometimes if you're real careful with it and if you get it runny enough, so you can change the consistency of it. But I always have some of this on hand. It's great for using glue as if you're looking for a filler as well. So what I'm going to do, once I've got this to the length that I need and mount it in the engine, I'll drill a hole the size of those 2 rods in the block. And once I get that glued in there, then what I'm going to do is use some of this glue to fill in the space between these 2 rods a bit, close to the alternator, so it looks like a bracket with 2 arms on it. So if you guys are wanting to add pulleys to your motors, it's not that difficult, and it's an easy way. You can do the same thing when you're doing a power steering pump and or alternator. So that's my little trick on doing pulleys on motors, guys. It's not that hard. Don't be intimidated by it. It's pretty straightforward to do. And then of course you can, once you've got the rods bent to shape, then all you need to do is when you go to glue it in the engine is to figure out your spacing so you can align your pulleys. And looks like this one I need to make, hang on a second. This one looks like the rod is going to have to be a little bit longer on this end. But anyway, that's our practice one. We'll cut that off and take it out, and when we get time after the video is we'll make a proper one for it. But that gives you an idea of how to make brackets really simple and straightforward and no muss, no fuss. And that kind of brings us to the end of this, guys. Hope you enjoyed the 50 Chevy pickup. I got some stills up on Facebook, on the different groups that I'm involved with and follow. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot. We're going to install one of my fuel filters as well. And they come in a pack of 5 of them when you buy them. And we'll get that mounted, one of those mounted on the engine as well. And I think that's it, boys. We'll keep you updated on progress on the Camaro. And once we figure out stance that we want, and we want it low, because I like them low. Plop that baby right in there, like so. There you go. Throw some paint on. She's done. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys, and we'll keep you up to date on progress of the build on this the '69 Camaro. And thanks again for all the support, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.